Hello again, everybody. This is Dan Clouser, and welcome to the Journey of My Mother's Son podcast. Today, Sandy and I will finish up our Colorado trip. We last left you in Glenwood Springs, and we were headed to Aurora to do a couple book signings. Not a lot to do in Aurora, and when I'm doing book signings, don't have a lot of time to explore. But one of the cool things that took place at the Aurora book signing is one of my podcast listeners came up and introduced herself. Her name was Jane. She'd been listening to the show for quite a few years, and saw me there signing and came up and introduced herself, and then went out to the RV and got a picture taken with Uke, and bought a t-shirt from us, one of Uke's t-shirts, and it was just a cool experience. I love being able to connect with people who listen to the show and tell me what it does for them. So outside of that, we didn't do a whole lot in Aurora. We stayed in the King Soopers our first night. Our second night, we drove about 45 minutes to the Denver East KOA to stay for the night. Gave us an opportunity to kind of just recharge our batteries, fill our tanks, empty our tanks. We had a good pancake breakfast there in the morning. Got Uke a little walk around the campground. The evening we got there, and the day we left. So that was nice. And then we ended up going to Harvest Host in just outside of Denver, which is a drive-in movie theater called the 88 Drive-In that we stayed at, which was pretty cool. Take a step back in time.
It is. Unfortunately, we didn't get to pick the kind of movie we'd like to see, but
yeah,
it was
the movies were Barbie and Oppenheimer, which
were two opposite things.
And it was good. It's just with the drive-in, you can't start till it gets dark. So by the time Barbie was over, Oppenheimer is like a 3-hour movie, and I don't think it started till after 10. Sandy didn't even attempt to.
No, it didn't appeal to me. So.
She didn't even attempt to stay up with
Plus
it. I had stayed up, and I think I fell asleep with about 45 minutes left in the movie. So I never did get the end of it, but
it was. We had to go all the way in the back because we were in an RV, so we were the last row parked, and it was kind of hard to see the screen after a while.
Yeah, it was a cool experience though.
Yeah, it was. Yes.
Again, a step back in time and sleep in a drive-in movie theater. It was
neat.
It was pretty cool. From that point, we left. We headed to Colorado City. We were going to be at another KOA for the whole week, Monday through Friday, and we were a little over 10,000 feet, that elevation.
I believe so. Yes.
By this time, Sandy, she didn't have any of the symptoms that she had in Durango, thank goodness.
Weird.
So, pretty much came acclimated to it. But that's when we found out that eating a high carb diet actually benefits in higher altitudes, which was news to us. But nonetheless, it was a nice little campground. It had a hot tub that we went to a couple times. We did a couple shorter hikes. Elevation didn't really seem to bother any of us at that point. And it was, again, just a nice spot. A lot of these KOAs are starting to do these pancake breakfasts. They all vary from what, how much they are and everything. So we did the pancake breakfast a couple different days, and that's fun because you end up being able to spark up some conversations with people. Mm-hmm. We met a family from Canada. Had a nice conversation with them at breakfast, and then met a gentleman our last day there who actually then drove into Boulder to my book signing, and was there right after I got set up to buy one of my books. And part of me felt bad because I could have told him I could have saved him the drive and he could have bought one in the campground, but I think he wanted to to make the drive as well, and had another good conversation with him, which was cool. While we're in Boulder, we stayed at the Boulder County Fairgrounds.
Which was a really cool place. I enjoyed that. There was a horse show or road something going on with horses right next door in their fairgrounds.
Yes, we'd walk over. We saw some barrel racing. Again, just a cool little spot.
And it's dirt cheap.
Yes.
County campgrounds are pretty darn cheap, especially if you just want electric. I think we paid $20.
$20. It's first come, first serve.
You could pick your own spot.
Yep,
It was pretty neat. I actually enjoy county campgrounds a lot.
Yeah, I mean mainly because of the price.
Right, the price.
But
and then
it's still good.
It's just fun. It's just different.
Nice, clean restrooms.
Yeah, everything about it. And we took nice walks in the area, in the park.
Yeah, we could walk around the whole fairgrounds area. I mean, I think we walked a little over 2 miles just around the fairgrounds and kind of in and out between buildings and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. After Boulder, we went up to Fort Collins. Again, another KOA. Obviously, we're fans of KOAs because we do stay in a lot of them. Because you pretty much know what you're going to get. You're going to get a good quality campground. With pretty good amenities. By that time, we were right before Labor Day, so things were starting to cool down. They did have a pool there. We went into the pool one time. Man, it was cold. The water was super cold. But they had a real nice trail around a lake there, which was nice. We did that a couple times, but I think we were there 3 nights. Because with Labor Day weekend, I was generally signing Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but with Labor Day weekend, I actually signed Thursday, Friday, Saturday in Fort Collins, and that ended up being my best signing ever. Sold 34 books in my signing. Met some really cool people. Met a gentleman from Jamaica who's also an author, who I'll be having on the show in the future, Delvin Campbell. So I'm looking forward to having him on the show. We've stayed in contact, and for me, those are the coolest things about my book signings, is not necessarily about how many books I sell or sign or anything like that, but just meeting the people and connecting with them, hearing their stories and telling them our story is really what I enjoy the most about that. Also, while we were in Fort Collins, we went to this really cool ice cream place the one night before we went back and stayed at the rest area.
I don't have the name down at all because I guess it didn't really stick out for me.
But they had all kinds of Star Wars figurines inside and stuff like that. It was pretty neat.
Right. I do remember now.
And we had dinner with one of my old players, Chad Whitmoyer, better known as Moose Whitmoyer. He drove in about 45 minutes to an hour to have dinner with us. Our second to last night there. And it's just great catching up with my old players. I mean, we hadn't seen each other in over 20 years, and just kind of pick up right where we left off. It was pretty cool. But outside of that, that was pretty much
that really wraps up our Colorado.
Yeah, we
in very limited time frame.
Yeah, we ended up from there. We ended up going up to Cheyenne, Wyoming. We'll talk about a little bit of time we spent in Wyoming, South Dakota, and through Nebraska. I mean, obviously the trip east didn't take nearly as long as the time we spent in Colorado, so we'll be able to cover a couple different states on our trek back east to Pennsylvania. So folks out there listening, be sure to check out my other blogs and podcasts at journeymymotherson.com. Or there, pick up a copy of one of my books. And as always, be safe.